Hello, YouTube, back once again with my Oscar countdown. Here we are, the final two, only two left, and here we are. Now, I said when I started this list, there were spots of this list that I did have debate on where to place it, but the three I always knew, I always knew that the top two would go where they were, and I would always knew American Sniper would go at the very bottom. Because to me, these last two movies are truly just like the best of the best. They are just masters of their field. Like, I cannot think of these movies. I can think of another movie like this, but it's a movie that just so rare to come along that it's just so amazing when something like it comes out. And so let's do this. My number two was the film Whiplash. Now, this movie, let me just say right now, I am shocked that this got an Oscar nomination because it is the definition of an independent movie. You can tell there was no studio behind this movie saying, oh wait, no, you can't show this because let me tell you, this is a brutal, brutal movie, this one. This film. Okay, let's go to the good. Let's just go to the good. Now, I know there's one thing that that just needs to be talked about, but I'm going to save that towards the end because that's probably going to be the hugest thing I'm going to talk about. So let's just start off. Let's talk about the plot. The plot of the movie, it's about a young aspiring jazz musician named Andrew, played by Miles Teller, and he is a student at the Schaefer Conservatory, which is considered like the highest place you can go if you're trying to make it a career in jazz music. As a jazz player, and at that school, there's multiple bands, and the best band is run by a man named Fletcher, who's played by J.K. Simmons, and so Miles Teller he gets into the class, but then he realizes that this man is a strong believer of there should be no participation. There should never be a good job given. He's a person who believes only true greatness can come from just beating someone to a bloody pulp. So they will only show greatness if they are willing to push back at him. And that's essentially the plot of this movie. It is just the ongoing struggle between Miles Teller trying to be great and this teacher just constantly beating him to the ground. And that's the plot. So okay, let's go to the goods. Like I said, plot's is actually really good. It actually went in some directions I did not expect it to go. I mean, especially towards the ending. There's a kind of twist near the end of the movie. I did not see that one coming. I was like, oh my god, when it showed up. And yeah, it got me. Plot is amazing. It's fantastically done. And here's the clever thing about the movie. The reason this plot works is because the only thing I can really compare it to off the top of my head is the movie Zero Dark 30. Because in Zero Dark 30, it's the movie about the process of capturing Osama bin Laden. And the thing about the movie is, it does show essentially everything we did to get him. It did show we did torture people to get information out of them. But the thing that was clever about the movie, it never takes a stance on such things as the torture. It just says, this is what happens. Did the means justify the ends? That's up to you to decide. The movie did not take a stance on it. And that's what this movie does. That's very clever. It shows this kid being so psychologically beaten. His hands are bloodied. He breaks down in tears. He just gets to the point he's almost he's just mentally destroyed in some scenes of this movie. And yeah, you can see, it's obvious that this is horrible what this man's doing, and to the rest of the class, there's a scene when he starts yelling at a kid for being a fat ass, and it's horrible what he's doing. But the thing is, he does get greatness out of these kids. He does behold all the great they can from these students, and like I said though, the movie will never take a stance if it's a good thing of how he did it though. Were the means justifying the ends? So that is the fantastic thing about the plot. There's no justification on what's done in this movie. It just shows what happens and just says it's up to you to decide. So that's the great thing about this plot. Now let's move on. And here's another thing about this plot. There is know this. If you're a fan of Heart, if you can't take, like, people being, like, really beaten down or tortured, like, don't go into this movie thinking, like, okay, there's gonna be screaming, there's gonna be yelling, like, I'll be okay. This is a brutal movie. Like, a lot of people have comparisons to this, and I agree. This is literally seems like the next Full Metal Jacket, and I mean, like, the first half when they're in boot camp. This movie is so brutal and bloody. There is a shocking amount of blood in this film. Like, I'm not about, like, emotional blood. I mean physical blood. This kid just bleeds all over the place in this film. And Jesus, like, it's more bloody or brutal than I think of all the Marvel movies this year combined. And I saw the three major ones with Captain America, X-Men, and Guardians. I saw all three. This is 10 times more brutal than anything they've got. Like, this is just disgusting how much this kid gets beat into a bloody pulp in this film. And the most horrible thing is he does it to himself. You just see him just bleeding all over his drum set. He just refuses to stop playing. It is so hard to look at sometimes. So, if you're a fan of Heart, don't watch this movie. You're going to be really horrified by it. So yeah, plot-wise, it's done wonderfully. The final sequence in particular, like I said, the twist got me, and it did lead to such a fantastic final sequence, one of the best scenes in Sim I saw this year. Okay, so plot, the way, fantastic. Okay, and now let's just get to what everyone talks about in this movie, and that is the acting, because the acting is just, like I said, great year for acting. This film was, I think, may have been the high point when it came to acting. As a whole, because there was one performance this year that I did like more than any other and more than any other film I saw this year that got nominated. My favorite performance was in a film that was not nominated for Best Picture this year. But as far as Best Picture nominees, this had as far as movies I saw this year, this had the best overall acting as far as that one. Because let's go through the actors. Okay, there's the one I have to talk about, but we'll get to him. First, let's talk about Miles Teller as the main character, Andrew. Miles Teller, I know he's in a lot of shitty teenage flicks. I haven't really seen any of them, but he was in the year. Well, down 2 years ago, but in 2014 when I saw this movie. The year before, he was in The Spectacular Now, which was my favorite movie of the year. He was the lead in that film, and I said, okay, this kid can legitimately act. He can, like, really be good at, like, an emotional young actor, and he is. I hope he gets more work after this, because he is fantastic in this film. Like, I heard my mom said there's no way he could have done his own drumming in this film. No, he actually learned how to do the drums and play the drums to do this movie, and it is so impressive. Just like how he just does such a great job of showing the mental scars this kid gets throughout the film. Just like how, like, destroyed he gets, like how many times he breaks down, like how he refuses to give up. He is fantastic. Another side the one side performance I really liked was from Melissa Benoist, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She gets a minor part. She plays Miles Teller's love interest in the film. Her only other credit I know about is she's on Glee. I don't watch Glee. I don't know if she was good on that. I thought even though she had a minor part, she did a really good job here. And I will say this: I loved how the romance was handled in this film. This was a great. I thought my only issue with this film was going to come down to how the romance was going to end, because I thought it was going to go one way, but they actually made it go another way, and it just showed how this movie was just so great, how it just refused to go some places. So even though it was a minor role, she was very charming. Very charming. Had a great joke when Miles Teller first asked her out. She made that crack me up. And minor role, thought she was pretty good though. I remembered her after I saw it. Okay, now let's talk about the huge thing that I want to talk about the movie, and that is J.K. Simmons as Fletcher. J.K. Simmons. Only things I remember him from is he was the dad in Juno. The few episodes of Oz I saw, I remember liking him in those, and the Allstate Farmers commercials. Those are the only thing I know him from. And all those things, he's like, well, not Oz really, but in the other two things, he was like, always gave like very warm, very nice performance. I did not know he could do this, though. I did not know he could do what this performance required him to do. He is so disturbing in this film. He is so horrible. And not even horrible. Like, he does horrible things, don't get me wrong. Like, there's like a scene like when he first accepts Andrew into his orchestra, and like he just like asks him, like, he just like with a nice thing, he's like, hey, yeah, dude, so like, tell me about yourself. And Andrew's like, yeah, well, my dad, like, he wanted to be a writer. He's just an English professor. He's just an English teacher at a high school. And then he's like, well, what about your mom? Like, he's just, and then like Miles Teller's like, oh, well, like, yeah, she left me when I was a kid, so I don't really know what happened to her. And then he was like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. Just remember, you're here because you earn it. This is your moment. He's like, yeah, sure. And then the next scene, when they do their first practice, literally what he does is Miles Teller starts messing up slightly, and then he literally just first he flings a chair at him, then he just starts saying, like, you are just a failure. This is why your mother left you, because you are just a failure and you are completely worthless. It's just like, Jesus. But here's the thing. He does stand by that this must be done for true greatness, and that is why this performance is so amazing. Because even when you see him as most horrible, his most, like, disgusting, most, like, unexcusable, you always get the feeling that he feels like this needs to be done. That feeling will never leave you when you watch his performance. You will always feel like he knew that this is the only way to get the true grades out of his students, and on that grounds, that is so unbelievable. He commands such a presence in this film, like as the conductor, just like he does like this hand thing, and he just seems a little child, like he does this, like he commands such a presence when he does that. It is so unbelievable. It's such a great performance. He just can instantly switch from being just the worst human being to actually really like a nice, charming kind of guy. It is just hands down my second favorite performance of 2014, hands down. And definitely from a male actor, favorite performance of 2014. So yeah, that's what I gotta say. So good. So like I said, good. Fantastic plot, unbelievably brutal. Fantastic characters and unbelievable acting. The only negative I thought was going to give this movie was how they were going to end the romance, but like I said, it goes in a different direction. So, and I actually thought it actually improved the movie the way where they end up going and the way the romance ended up ending. So, on that grounds, I give Whiplash a solid 5 out of 5. This movie is a spectacular masterpiece, must be seen. If you ever saw Full Metal Jacket and said, I've always dreamed of someone making another movie like that, this is that movie. This is the next Full Metal Jacket, and it's about jazz musicians. Not about army men, it's about jazz musicians, and it is just as intense and just as brutal as that movie. Really think about that. So, all I can say, go see it. It is easily one of the best movies. It is easily one of the best movies of 2014. It is just unbelievable. I'm so glad I got an Oscar nomination, and considering this is an indie film, and yeah, like I said, go see it. Just for J.K. Simmons. See this for Simmons. He's about to win Best Supporting Actor. Well-deserved Oscar win. And so... Oh, and for gambling this weekend about who's going to win, about Oscar wins, make sure you put down Simmons. There's no chance for anyone else. And so besides that, I'll be back next time with number 1. And until then, YouTube...